All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we get settled today for another weekly football media luncheon here at the Black and Gold Room, my name is Habtam Kaleta, Sports Information Director of UAPB, and we will get started as we have Coach Monte Coleman, as usual, and we've got kicker punter Jamie Gillen to my direct right from Inverness, Scotland, as well as Lee Earl Patterson, quarterback from South Memphis, Tennessee, to my far right. So we welcome these two young student athletes to our luncheon today. And without further ado, we will get started. We have no recap of last week's game since we had a bye week, of course. So we will preview the big game this week against Southern at Little Rock War Memorial. Coach Coleman.
Thank you. I just want to welcome everyone here to the luncheon. It was a bye week, and it was a good bye week for us. We got a chance to do some things that we needed to do. There were three things on the agenda going into the bye week. The first thing was to let the guys get some rest. We've got some guys with some boo-boos. We're able to get a couple of guys back. Michael Lockwood, Dave White, and others that will get back this week because of the bye week. They were able to sit out and get the rest that they definitely needed, and the team. We did work all week up through Thursday. I gave them Friday and Saturday off. And the second thing that we looked at was making sure that we wasn't a big tendency team. We self-evaluated ourselves during the week. We practiced on ourselves majority of the week, and to make sure that we were doing the things that we need to do to win a football game. And the last thing, of course, we got an extra week to work on Southern. So we did work doing team period, carding against Southern, to make sure that we'll be familiar with Southern. So we got an extra week of 4 days leading into this week. We were off yesterday. We start practice again today. Just talking to the guys, everybody is still enthused. They've looked at stats, they've looked at standings, and they see that we still have a chance. The one thing that both of these guys, Jamie and Lee Earl, said to me is all we've got to do is play our game, and that's what we've been preaching. We've been preaching just do what we do. Don't worry, don't go in with a lot of pressure on ourselves. Just play and have fun and let the chips fall where they may. But these guys are ready to play. They're going to get their team ready to play, and it should be a good football game. Southern is a very good football team. I think they've won one conference game more than we have. They came off a big victory this past week. It's going to be a good game, but they're coming into hostile territory. And I'm looking forward to playing this game up at Little Rock at the War Memorial Stadium this weekend at 4 o'clock. So should be a real good game. We're ready for practice, and guys are enthused about the parity that we do have in the league and what we can do by winning this football game.
Thanks a lot, Coach. Anything is possible. Starts with this Saturday. So we'll start with questions. Lee Earl, the first one will go to you. Can you kind of tell us how it is leading a collegiate team as the quarterback, arguably the most important position on the team? How does that feel to you going in the huddle and leading your team every week?
It's really a blessing to lead a collegiate team. It's pretty hard, but with the hard work, nothing is too difficult. So.
Wonderful. And Jamie, can you kind of tell us your thoughts throughout the game? You have double duties, kicking, punting. If you're going to run a fake on the special teams, just tell us a little bit about what that means to you.
It's just good fun being a part of it. Most college teams don't have one person doing all three, but to me that doesn't matter. That's just more opportunity to make plays for the team, So I just have a good time with it and make sure I practice hard every day, work out my craft so I can be the best at all three,
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, we'll take questions from the media. If OC, Mr. Hill, anybody wants to lead us today. And we'll also take a question from our Twitter audience. We'll do something new this week. So those of you who are watching via our live Twitter feed, make sure to type in your questions, and we'll select one of the questions before we end the press conference or the luncheon. Thank you.
All right, Coach. OC Brown, Pilot Commercial.
Hey, OC.
I know you said you wanted the bye week to serve threefolds for you guys. What did you see as far as mentality wise and just in the locker room? Did you see the guys? Did they ensure you that they're ready to go?
You know what happened after the game last week, OC? The players, led by Mr. Lee Earl, they kicked all the coaches out of the locker room. After I said my speech after the game, they kicked all the coaches out, and they had a team meeting. And I don't know what was said. I didn't ask what was said in that meeting, but it brings me back to memory back when I played with the Redskins, that we had several on our Super Bowl runs. We had several of those heart-to-heart team-type meetings where the coaches wasn't involved. It was just the players. And I can only imagine what was said in those meetings. So when we came out to practice last Monday, everybody was enthused. Everybody was hopping around. We had some real good practices in the 3 phases. We had some guys that were sitting out because of the boo-boos that they do have. But the guys that was able to practice, they gave us great effort. And from a mental standpoint, enthusiasm standpoint, I thought everything went extremely well last week.
Okay. Now on defense, on offense, you guys have been great. Mr. Patterson's been leading the way with some outstanding numbers, coming in with some of his first starts of his career. But on defense, you guys have given us some yards there with the RPOs. With the run-pass option, is it based off of instinct, or would you say is it technique when it comes to defending the run-pass option?
You know, I hate the person who invented the RPO, because that's a tough play. Just to give you an understanding of an RPO, it's a run-pass, an acronym for run-pass option. That's what RPO means or stands for. So you can either run it based off of what they give you, the defense gives you, or you can pass it based off of what the defense gives you. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to suck the linebackers up with a run fake. If the linebackers come up to play the run, then they throw the football. If they don't and stay back to play pass, then they run the football. So it's extremely hard on the defense. The offensive line, they're run blocking the whole time. They're run blocking. So they do have the option of either throwing the football and running the football. Teams that can do it well, Alabama A&M does it well, Southern, they do it well, and other teams, they do it extremely well. So as far as a defensive player, the thing that he's got to do, he's got to play his instincts. He can't guess, because when we do guess, that's when it can come back to bite you. And so with an RPO or any of the plays that the offense have in their repertoire in this day and time, all you have to do is just be sound, make sure that you've got great contain, and you've got a tackle. Now, the one thing that's been hurting us from a defensive point, we haven't tackled well this year. And that's something that we work on every day. We worked on it again last week, and we've got to make sure that when we tackle, we're not just trying to knock guys down, because you can't. Guys are too good. Literal quarterbacks, running backs, you can't just bump them down anymore. You've got to actually hit and wrap up, and that's what we're teaching. Now, you got to understand, too, to be a vicious tackler, you can't do it in practice with the understanding you can possibly lose some players. So we do the best simulating it, hidden dummies and hidden bags. We've got a big circle now that they use, the Division I schools use to learn how to tackle or to improve on your tackling, and we're doing all of those drills. So we're hoping that it can carry over to the game.
Okay. Southern starting quarterback Austin Howard, he came in preseason, second team, all SWAC. He's had a pretty solid year this year. Mr. Patterson, these questions for you as well. Could you just talk about what you guys think of him, and just with him being an opposing quarterback coming in this weekend?
Well, with him as the opposing quarterback, you know, he's a pretty good quarterback. But I feel like our guys are better. I feel like our game plan is better. You know, we're going to stick it out, we're going to go win.
You know, he's kind of one-dimensional. He's a great quarterback. He was preseason, second team preseason, can throw the football, very smart, but he tore his ACL. So he's kind of one-dimensional. Right now, if I saw the stats, and don't quote me on this, but I think right now rushing the football, he's like a -44 rushing the football. So it's come down to him just throwing the football. And he has the ability. He's got two great running backs. So they have a great running game, a good passing game, but the threat of the quarterback running the football, he's not running nearly as much as he had in past years. So that's due because he's got one of the knee braces on, and from my understanding, from a medical, he tore his ACL early in the season.
Okay. Now defense, I checked it out. They're winning the turnover battle in their past two SWAT games, 5-1. Could you just talk about what you've seen from them on that side of the ball and what type of athletes they have on defense?
They're very athletic on defense. They're big up front. They would like to get after the quarterback without blitzing. They're not a real big blitz team. They will blitz on occasion, but they're going to put the work on the four interior guys and let them go to work. They will stunt a lot to try to get guys open, and also they'll line up in a 34. Their number one defense is going to be a 4-2-5, and they'll line up in the 34 on occasions, and mostly on third downs, and they'll get after you. They're very physical. They got guys that can run, and very good defense.
Okay. For you, Mr. Gillen, in this particular game with Austin Howard being a one-dimensional quarterback, could you talk about how important it is to pin them deep as far as in you guys' territory, in their territory on punts as you can?
It's key for every game, you know. It's my goal every time I go out is to help the defense out as much as possible. You know, I don't really care where I'm in the field. I'm aiming for the 20 and inside on their side, you know. So just hit the corners. They got a really good return man. He's actually number one in FCS football right now with a pretty ridiculous stat. But I mean, it's just going to be a good showcase, and I'm going to go out and give them some pretty good punts, you know. So just got to play my game.
All right. Now, playing at Little Rock, Coach, could you just talk about some of your past experiences playing in War Memorial, and does it give you guys an advantage in your eyes?
We've had some good games. We had some great games, and we've had some not so great games here in Little Rock. It's a great venue for football. We all know that it's an ex-home field for the Razorbacks. It's top notch. It probably can equal to almost a lot of the NFL stadiums. It's just a great place to play. As an advantage, I don't know if there's a true advantage being there in Little Rock from monetary, maybe from monetary, but as far as playing, you know, it's fun to play there because it gives our kids an opportunity to play at a SCS type arena, or even a bigger arena. You know, there was times we used to go to Chicago, play at Soldier Field. There were times we used to go to St. Louis and play there. So this is pretty much equal to playing at those type places. So it's fun to get away from Golden Lion Stadium and play in Little Rock. But, you know, I guess if I had my druthers, I love Golden Lion Stadium.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions from media members? Do we have a Twitter question selected? Not yet? Okay, we'll start with the audience then. Don't be shy. Welcome back, Bubba.
Thank you. I did not intend to miss last week either. Monte,
Yes, sir.
I've spoken with you earlier, and I have one personal concern. You know, I'm an avid fan.
Yes, you are.
And over the years, I've seen, say, starting in 2012, when we won the championship.
Yes.
We had an outstanding offense and defense. I mean, some of the plays that were made, we looked like champions. And the following year, you lost 13 players due to academic ineligibility.
Yes.
And since then, the offense has seemed to hit the mark. They've scored enough points to win the game. But the defense has given up more points than the offense has scored. And it seems to be a continuing pattern. Is there anything that you see going forward with these last games that we can do to change the pattern of things that we're going through?
Well, the one thing that I'm hoping would help change that pattern, Bubba, would be we're getting some guys back. We lost our starting corner due to an ankle injury. He should be back this week. We lost our starting free safety to a broken arm, which he will not be back for the rest of the season. We lost our starting will linebacker, Mr. Vila, who will not. He had surgery this past week, so he won't be back. So we're kind of patched up on the defensive side of the ball, but there's not an excuse. You know, it's next man up, and that's the thing that we've got to look at. The one thing that the guys who replaced the ones that I named don't have the SWAC hours or the playing time, which is huge in collegiate football. The guys that are the most experienced seem to make the fewest mistakes. And with the young guys that we've got replacing some of the ones that I'm talking about, every now and again they make some mistakes. But we're not discouraged. The one thing that I answered to Mr. Osei was we're not tackling well. And I think if we tackle better, which we will this week, we tackle better, then I think the outcome could be a whole lot different. I agree with you. You know, the goal, which we've talked about this in previous launchings, is to hold opponents to 17 points or less. If we score 38 points, 40 points, my philosophy or my thoughts, we should win the football game. So the thing that we've got to do is we've got to go back to the old adage, bend but don't break. And while we're not breaking, we can't give up the points like we're giving up. And partially because of the tackling is kind of the Achilles heel for us right now.
Gotcha. This is a comment since I'm only allowed 2 questions. Earl, you're doing a wonderful job, young man, here. Just keep it up. And I'm going to say it again. Don't be afraid to run. Under your coach's direction. And Jamie, this is a question for you. You're about as consistent as anybody we've had at the kicker and punting positions. On the 2 field goals that you missed, was there something, you know, everybody, when you see a kick missed, it's the kicker's fault, but it's not always the kicker's fault. It's in the snap, it's in the hold. Was there something that happened that caused you on those 2 kicks to veer off from your line of sight?
You know, with field goals, you know, you could do the littlest thing wrong and, you know, you'll completely miss the kick. And on the first field goal, my plant foot, you know, was facing outside the post. That's where it went. But on the longer field goal, you know, I've got to have short-term memory, and I went out and I went to kick the ball pretty hard. And when you looked at the film, it actually got tipped. Just, you know, it was a little bit of miscommunication with the line. He managed to sneak through and just got fingertips to it, so that's why it kind of floated away to the side there. I've never kicked one like that, but you know.
Gotcha.
So just things you got to work on every day. You got to get better. So that's what I do.
And let me say this in front of everybody. I have given you a nickname.
What's the nickname, Bubba?
Gold Toe. And look here, he answers to it.
Let me say this. I guess not just you, Bubba, but the reason why I chose these 2 guys, being our bye week, you know, we didn't play a game last week, of course, and you know, so when it was asked by Cameo who was going to be the 2, Leo is doing an outstanding job leading the offense. We still love Brandon. Brandon is still waiting if Leo needs anything as he comes off the field. Brandon is the first one that comes up to him to either correct or to help him in his progression on the field to help us win a football game. So there's no love lost and competition between the 2. But I chose him because of his leadership that he's helping with the offense right now. Jamie, of course, like you said, he's doing some great things for us. He's kicking the football. He's punting the football extremely well. I think he is #1 in the SWAC in net punting. I think he's netting, what, 40?
We're third in FCS for net.
In FCS, he's third in all of FCS. So he's doing a good job. So it was easy when they asked the question, who would be the guest? I found a leader on special teams and also a leader on offense to be our guest this week. Now, there's a lot of guys that's doing a great job. There's some offensive linemen that I could have brought, and I will in future. Some of the young guys that are true freshmen that's being thrown in the fire and doing an outstanding job with us. There's some guys on defense that we've gotten from other institutions that's doing an outstanding job. It is a team concept. This isn't like golf. You know, that you against the course or you against the other players. This is a team concept. And I've always told this team that there is an I in team. You know, I contradict the person that said there's no I in team. There is an I in team. And every individual, in order for the team to be successful, every individual has to be hitting on all of his cylinders. And that's what we're working toward. So these guys are great leaders. They're doing a great job leading the team. And that's the reason why they're here with us today, because of their contribution and their leadership and dedication to the football team.
All right, any more questions from our audience at this time? All right. Yes, sir. Yeah, sure.
So could you just give the audience an update on the SWAC standings on the western side? I don't think you guys have played the western team yet, right?
No,
Okay.
we actually started. His question was give us the standings on the West. Actually, the games that we've played have all been East games. Of course, as you know, the SWAC is divided in two divisions. You've got the East Division and you've got the West Division. We're part of the Western Division. And right now, Grambling is in the lead, or is in first place on the West. Then Southern, then Prairie View, then us, and then Texas Southern. There's 5 teams on each side of the divisions. And we're in 4th place right now. And that's a close 4th, a real close 4th. So Prairie View slips up, hey, we could possibly even move up. But the thing that we've got to do, we've got to handle our business. We're not worried about what the other teams do. We got to make sure that we come ready to play on Saturday. And we're taking it one game at a time. And get this one, and we'll see where we are. But right now, we're in 4th place on the West.
Thank you, OC. All right, anybody else? Questions? All right, thank you so much. We'd like to thank UAPB Dining Services for their hospitality as usual, week in and week out. We're excited for Saturday's game, and go get the Jags.
Let's get them.
All right, thank you guys so much for coming to the Coaches Luncheon for today, and let's eat.